A warm good evening to all. On the behalf of I Ask Ayush, myself, Shivashankari from Government Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Nagarkoil, welcomes you one and all present connected with us in this beautiful session. As a continuation of last week, today is the second session on the topic Tantrayukti made simple by our chief guest, Dr. Lini Grispin MD Ayur, Assistant Professor, Department of Samhita and Siddhanta, conducted by the team I Ask Ayush. Now, let's have a short introduction about our chief guest, Dr. Lini Grispin. Ma'am has completed her BMS from Government Ayurveda College, Trivandrum in 2009. Ma'am has completed her PG in Samhita Siddhanta from Government Ayurveda Medical College, Trivandrum in 2021. Many articles of Ma'am has been published in many journals. Article on involvement of doshas in acid peptic diseases in International Journal of Ayurveda and Pharma Research in 2021. Article on concept of Samanya and zikSA Siddhanta in Indian Journal of Applied Research in 2021. Article on concept of Indriya in Darshana in Paripex Indian Journal of Research in 2021. Ma'am has presented a paper on concept of Indriya in Darshana in the seminar Nyaya Visheshika of Indian Thoughts organized by Government Sanskrit College, Trivandrum. Ma'am has presented a poster on Balyavastha Evam Poshana in seminar Nutrition and Scope of Ayurvedic Fundamentals. Ma'am had presented a poster on concept of Samanya and zikSA Siddhanta in Ayurveda in 14th Global Ayurveda Feast. Now, let's have a short recap about the previous session. Ma'am had spoke about the importance of Tantrayukti like to justify one's own treatment, proper understanding of science, enlightens the mind to achieve the subtleness, fastest understanding of aligned science to understand the hidden meaning. Ma'am had spoke about the types of Tantrayukti as per different authors, and then Ma'am started explaining about the types of Tantrayukti as per Sushruta. Ma'am had covered Adhikaranam, Yoga, Hetu Artham, Padartham, Pradesham, Upadesha, Nirdesha, Vakyasesha, Prayojana, and Upadesha. And the continuation of this will be covered in today's session. So without any further delay, I would like to hand over the session to Ma'am. Welcome, Ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, one and all. So, as mentioned by our host, it's a continuation of the previous session of last week. So, I think there's no need of any introduction. And by seeking for blessings from the God Almighty and as well as all my gurus, I think we'll be going straight into the class. It will be continuation of last day's session. So, as per continuation, the next Tantrayukti that comes is Apadesha. Apadesho nama ed pradignyada artha sadhanaya heduvachanam. That is, Apadesha is pradignyada artha sadhanaya heduvachanam. It is a heduvachanam. It is a statement giving some reason, hedu, of what? Of pradignya, of what we have proposed for its substantiation. Its artha sadhanaya, a heduvachana is proposed. That is called as Apadesha. So it is a giving reason for something that has been already stated by the author of the text. Some examples are in the statement that all deaths cannot be avoided, like in the Atraya Maitreya Sambhashya in Mahachadushpada Adhyaya. It is said that in spite of you having all the Chadushpadas and you administering him with the treatment, he dies. So the reason for that is said by Atraya is all diseases are not curable with medicaments. That is why death happens. We know sadhya lakshanas are mentioned in our text. Also, asadhya vyadis are mentioned in our text. So that is quoted as the reason for that. And the next, another example that can be quoted is in Chargavimanam Janabadodvamsani Adhyayam. It is stated that Vadat Jalam Jaladesham Teshat Kalam Swabhavadaha Vidya Dushpariharyatva. That is in the order from Vada, then Jala, and then Desha, and then Kalam. So at most Kala becomes the most Dushpariharyatva. It is said that it is Swabhavadaha Dushpariharyatva. It's by nature of its indispensability, it becomes difficult to cure for the Kala. So here also stating a reason for the order is mentioned by the author. Another example that can be taken is Gurvadishu eva viryakhya tena anvartha iti varnyate samagra gunasareshu shakti utkarsha vivartishu vyavaharaya mukhyatvat bahu agragrahanadabi. It is stated in Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthanam that Gurvadishu can be cited as Viryas. Gurvadishu eva viryakhya tena anvartha iti varnyate. It is stated because Samagra Gunasareshu, it is the essence of all. Samagra Gunasara and Shakti Utkarsham, it is more powerful, and Vyavaharaya Mukhyatva, we are using it more often in our daily usage. And Bahu Agra Grahanadabi, these are mentioned first, like in the first chapter. So this is stated as the reason for mentioning Gurvadi Gunas can be considered as Virya. So Apadesha is stating a statement first, and then you will be substantiating it with the reason. That is called as Apadesha Tantrayukti. And the next Tantrayukti is Atidesha. Atidesha is defined as Atidesho Nama et kinchiteva pragashyartham anuktartha sadhana eva evam anyadavi pratyedavam idi paribhashyate. It is Atidesha is kinchiteva pragashyartham anuktartha sadhana eva evam anyadavi pratyedavam idi paribhashyate. It is some part of it is said. Kinchiteva, a part of it is said, and for anuktartha sadhana, for what is not stated, Anyadapi Pratyedavyam, that's it is said that other things like this is also acceptable, or from where it has been taken, the other things also are also acceptable. It is an extended application to some other place. Example can be like Echa Anyadapi Kinjit Syad Anuktamiha Pujidam, Vrittam Tadabi Chatraya Sadeva Abhenumanyade. In Ashtanga Hridaya, after speaking about Sadvritas, it is said that Echa Anyadapi Kinjit Syad Anuktam Iha Pujidam. Though that they are pujita, though they are auspicious and they are anuktamiha, if it is not said here, but if it is acceptable, then vrittam tadapi chatraya sadeva abhinamanyate. It is acceptable to the atraya, and you can follow that. You are bound to follow that. So here a part of the sadvritas are mentioned, and similar things are acceptable is mentioned. So this is an extended application. Another example is like pramehinam ya pidaga ta shalyavadbihi kushalais chikilsya. In Charga Chikilsa 6th chapter, Prameha Dhyaya, it is stated that Prameha Pidaga should be referred to as Shalyavadbihi Kushala with the help of Shodhana, Robana, Shastra, etc. So there only Prameha Chikilsa is mentioned, and Prameha Pidaga, if it comes, he mentions it to another Adhikarana, that is, you can refer books on Shalya Tantra, or you can refer it to a physician who is expert in Shalya Shastra, like that. So he is extending the present context to some other context. And another example is Mahada Panjamulasya Kashtat Shaumena Veshtita Tailasiktat Pradiptadrat Sneha Sadhyo Rujapaha Yojishchevam Bhadra Kashtat Kushtat Kashtat Sarala. This is quoted as an example by Arunadatta. Here he says that one thing is said, and this is to be done in similar cases. That is, in Karnaroga Pradisha Yadhyaya, it is said that Mahada Panjamulasya Kashta is to be done Veshtana with Kshauma, and it is to be ignited. And the taila that dribbles from it is Sadhyaha Rujabaham. It causes immediate cure from pain. And Evam similarly is to be done with Bhadra Kashtam, Kushtat Kashtam, or Sarala Kashtam. So one thing is said, and you have to do the similar in with these, like it is said. So it is also an application of Adidesha Tantrayukti. A part of it is said, and you are extending this to some other place. It is called as Adidesham. Usually, cross-referencing are taken. Like if the same thing is said in Charaka Samhita, that is mentioned before the context or after the context goes to Atita or Anagadeveksha Tantrayukti, and if he gives the reference to some other Shastra or some other Tantra, then it is usually taken as Adidesha Tantrayukti. But in this context, Susrutacharya has another opinion that he says Adidesha is Pragridasya Anagadasya Sadhanam Adidesha. That is Pragridasya Anagadasya Sadhanam. If it does not return to Pragridavastha, if it does not to normalcy, then it causes something. That is called as Adidesha according to Susrutacharya. An example quoted by Dalhanacharya is Vayuhu Urtu Mudishtanam Tena Udavarti Syat. If the Vada continues to move in Urdhva Gadi, then it causes Udavarti. So, the person will result in having the disease Udavarta. So Prakridasya Anagadasya, we know the Prakrida Gadi of Vada is not Pradiloma Avastha, it is Aniloma. And if it continues to move in Urdhva Avastha, then it will result in this condition. That is Atidesha according to Susradacharya, whereas Charaka and Ashtanga have a similar view. So the next Tantrayukti is Arthapatti. I think everyone is familiar with this, and there is no need of much explanation over this. Like it is Arthapatir Nama ed Akirtidam Arthad Abatyade Sa Arthapatti. Akirtidam is Arthad Abatyade. That is that which is not said. Akirtidam Arthad Abatyade. From what is said, what is not said is understood. It is an implied meaning of something that is stated. The example is in the statement, do not eat curd at night. That is Naktam Dadibojana Nishedam means its implied meaning is it is not said do not eat curd, but it is said do not eat at night. So in the rest of the part, it is advised to take. So it means you can take it at other times other than night. That is in daytime. And another example is we have already discussed this. That is Kevalam Nirubastambham Adav Snehe Rubajareda Vayu. In Vada Vyadi Chikitsa, it is said that if the Vada is Kevalam Nirubastambham, it is being not supported by any other dosha, dushya, etc., then Adav Sneha can be done. Adav Snehe Rubajare. It means if it is supported by some other dadus or some other dosha, then or ama, then Adav Snehanam is not indicated, but it doesn't mean that it should never be done. Only Adav Snehanam is should not be applied, and at other when it becomes Nirama or it becomes Kevalam Nirubastamba, Snehana can be done. So this is Arthapatti Tantrayukti. And another examples like Shushkani Abhihi Kashtani. It is mentioned by Sneha Sweda, even the dry stick we can make it to bend. So it means if it is applicable to the dry stick, then why not with the human body? That is an example for Arthapatti. So when something is stated and we understand some other meaning from what is not stated in the same context is taken as Arthapatti Tantrayukti. And the next Tantrayukti is Nirnayam. Nirnayam Nama Vijaridasya Arthasya Vyavastavanam. Vijaridasya Arthasya Vyavastavanam. It is making some conclusions on Vyavastavanam, making some affirmations on something that is done Vijarida. Some discussion is going on and you will be coming to a conclusion on the topic, then it is called as Nirnayam. So these are simply conclusive statements. Examples are like Yaduktam Shodashakalam Purvadhyaye Beshajam Tad Yukti Yuktam Alam Arogyaya. While discussing about the Veshaja Chadushpadas in Khuddaka Chadushpada Adhyaya, and when the next chapter Maha Chadushpada Adhyaya starts, there the author says if you use it properly, then the Shodasha Kalas, the 16 gunas of the Chadushpadas, is Arogyam. It is concluding a part of the discussion that was done previously about Chadushpadas. That is called as Nirnaya. And another example is like in the discussion going on between the first formed part of fetus, the Acharya concludes that it is not like that, everything is formed first. So that conclusive statement, every organs are formed alike, is termed as Nirnaya in that context. Like another example, like in Vada Kala Kaliya Adhyaya, they discussed about Kalas and Akalas of Vadas, and at the end of it, it is a conclusive statements are given. These are also examples for conclusion. And also in Ejja Purusha Adhyaya, like a discussion goes on between from what Purusha and Vyadi are formed. And at the end of this, the Atraya concludes that from the sambat of all these bhavas, the Purusha is born out. And from the Vibat of this Vyadi is generated. That is an example for Nirnaya. So you will be doing some discussions on some particular topic and you will be coming to some conclusions on that. And that it is called as Nirnaya. And Nirnaya Tantrayukti becomes applicable there. The next Tantrayukti is Prasanga Tantrayukti. I think this is also one among the familiar Tantrayuktis to all. Prasanga is defined as Prasango Nama Purva Abhidasya Arthasya Pragarana Agadatwadina Punarabhidanam. This Purva Abhida Artham, it is already stated and it is Punarabhidanam, restating the things. When only Pragarana Agadatwadina, we are not saying it here and there as we like. Only when the context arrives, if we are discussing about Jara and we discussed it already, only then the present context in the same context comes and it becomes necessary that repetition is needed, then repeating it is not a Tantra dosha, it is Tantrayukti, application of Tantrayukti. It may be for making the thing more clear or to make it more understandable. So there the use of Prasanga Tantrayukti comes. Example is repetition of Jara Samprapti in both Ashtanga Nidana as well as in zikSA. We can see that. Similarly, Hina Mithya Yoga of Indriyas are discussed in Sutrasthana 11th chapter as well as Sharirasthana 1st chapter of Charaka Samhita. Similarly, Panchamahabhuta Shariri Samavaya Purushas Tasmin Kriyaso Adhishtanam. It is mentioned in Susruta Sutra 1st chapter as well as Susruta Shariram Sarvabhuta Chinda Shariram Adhyaya. So Prasanga is restating things when you feel it is necessary to say that. Only in the context, when the context arrives. Out of context you are saying, then it becomes Tantra Dosha. It is not a Tantra Dosha. It is Prakarana Agadatvadina Punarabhidana. And the next Tantrayukti is Ekanda. Ekanda is defined as Ekando Nama ed Avadharanena Uchyade. You will be saying some affirmative statements. Avadharanena Uchyade. You have some confirmative statement about something. It is called as Ekanda. And there is no deviation to it, and there will be no difference of opinion between different texts or different acharyas. These are confirmative statements. There will be no doubt among different people. So examples are Nija Sharira Doshata. Nija diseases are caused by visheshana of Sharirika doshas. Similarly, Aganda doshas are caused by extraneous factors. It is an example for Eganda Tantrati or Trivrit Virejedi. There is no doubt that Trivrit causes Virejana or Madana causes Vamana. So this is again another example for Eganda. Or in the statement Dosha Eva hi Sarvesham Roganam Eva Karanam. The dosha visheshan itself is the mere simple cause for origin of diseases. Or in another context like Tatroshnam Brahmatrit Glani Sweda Daha Ashupagida Shamam Cha Vada Kabayoho Karodi. Ushnavirya does these functions for the Brahmatrit Glani Sweda Daham Ashupagam Vada Kabayoho Shamam. There is no difference of opinion that some other Virya is doing this. It is attributed to Ushnavirya. Similarly, Shishiram Puna Hladanam Jivanam Stambanam Prasadam Rektapitayoho is attributed to Shida Virya. So when there is no difference of opinion and the Acharya says something as confirmation or affirmative statements are included under Eganda Tantrayukti. These are expressed with the use of Eganda Tantrayuktis. And the next Tantrayukti is Negandam or Anekandam. Both are same. Anegando Nama Anyadara Pakshan Avadharanam. It is compromising statements. It is saying that it is a view is there like this also. Not only this view, but this view is also not wrong. He says some others opinions, not some others opinions. He says it is like this also. Like stating like this is also not wrong. That is called as Anegandam or Negandam, not compromising statements. Different opinions are admissible on a particular subject. That is called as Anegandam or Negandam. Like examples are in the case of Viryavada in Ashtanga Hridaya. We can see that Ashtavida Viryavada, Dvivida Viryavada, Anega Viryavada, etc. are discussed in the same context. It means all these are not wrong and these are applicable. Another context is in Susruta Sutra 40th chapter, Dravya Rasaguna Virya Vibhaga Vijnani Adhyayam. There the Acharya says, some Acharya says Dravyam is Pradhanam, and some says Rasa is Pradhanam, some says Guna is Pradhana. And the reasons for that is also said. So it means that these are applicable in its own context. So it is called as Aneganda or Naeganda Tantrayukti. The next is Apavarga Tantrayukti. Apavarga Tantrayukti is Apavargo Nama Sadilyena Uddishtasya Ekadesha Abakarshanam. Sadilyena Uddishtasya Ekadesha Abakarshanam. Sadilya, a statement that is applicable to all, Sagala, a general statement is mentioned, is Uddishta, and Ekadesha Abakarshanam. A part of it is given some exception. So statements with exceptions are included under Apavarga Tantrayukti. Example is Madhuram Shleshmalam Prayo Jirna Shali Eva Dride. Mudgad, Godu, Madhak, Shaudrat, Sidaya, Jangalamisham. It is all the Shleshma Dravyas, mostly Prayo. Shleshmalam is Madhuram. It is the Madhuram causes Shleshma Vardhana, except Ride, Jirna Shali, Yavam, Mudgam, Godumam, Shaudram, Sida, and Jangalamisha. So a general statement that Madhura causes Shleshma Vriddhi, it increases Shleshma is mentioned, and Hriday, and exceptions to some of the Dravyas is mentioned. That is included under Apavarga Tantrayukti. Another example is na parishidam annam adadidani. Na parishidam annam should be taken. Anyatra except mamsa harda shushka shaga bhala bhakshebhyaha. That is called as apavarga tantrayukti. So apavarga is when you give a general statement and you give some exception to a part of it, or some drugs or some things are excluded from it, then it is included under apavarga tantrayukti. And the next tantrayukti is Viparyaya. I think this is also easy. It is Viparyayo nama abhakrishtat pradeva udaharanam. We are saying something and the opposite of it is to be understood. Yes, abhakrishtat pradeva udaharanam. A statement is followed by placing its opposite also. The opposite is also mentioned in the statement. We are not understanding it like Arthapatti. It is mentioned like it is like this and the opposite of it is like this. Example is Vriddhi Samanaihi Sarvesham Viparitair Viparyayaha. Vriddhi causes increase of this, and the opposite is Kshaya. Kshaya is due to, or Vishesha causes Kshaya in that. So Viparyaya, by the word Viparyaya, we are understanding the opposite of what is mentioned. Another example is Nidana Uktani Asya na Ubashirede, Viparitani cha Ubashirede. That which causes the particular thing, Nidanas, should not be resorted to, and its opposite should be resorted to avoid the condition. It is there again the word Viparita is mentioned. This is another example for Viparya. Or in some other example like Lingam Malanam Samanam Niramanam Viparya. This in Ashtangridya while stating Samalakshana, Srodoroda, Malabramsha, etc. There it is mentioned as this is the symptoms for Samalakshanas. And Niramalakshana symptoms are Viparyaya, the opposite of this. From these symptoms, what you see, the opposite of these symptoms, that there is no Srodoroda, there is no Balabramsha, or there is gain of Bala, then it should be understood as Niramalakshana. And another example is Ruksha Shido Lakhu Sukshma Chaloda Vishadakhara Viparita Gunair Dravyir Maruda Samprashamyadi. In Charaka Sutra, while mentioning the gunas of three doshas, the Vada gunas are mentioned, and it is said that Viparita Gunair Dravyir, the opposite of these gunas, if you take the dravyas having gunas opposite to this, it causes Marudaha Samprashamanam. So a thing is said and its Viparyaya is stated along with it. To give us some meaning, is called as Viparyaya Tantrayukti. There the application of Viparyaya Tantrayukti is suiting. And another example, next Tantrayukti is Purobaksha. Purvapaksho nama Pradignyada Artha Sandushagam Vakyam. Purvapaksha is Pradignyada Artha Sandushagam Vakyam. A statement is already said, and the next statement creates some doubt that is it, then why it is stated like that. That is called as Purvapaksha. It is some objections we will find. Then why the Acharya said like that? Then what is the purpose of the next statement? That is called as Purvapaksha. Purobaksha examples are in the Charaka Sutra Sthana. It is mentioned that Na Malsyan Payasa Saha Abhyavaharet. No Malsya is to be taken with milk. Then in the next statement, it is also stated that Sarvan Eva Malsyan Na Payasa Saha Abhyavaharet Visheshastu Chilijima. All the Malsya should not be taken with milk, especially chilijima. Then there a doubt arises. Then if no Malsya can be taken with milk, then why Visheshastu chilijima is said? So can others be taken? And a doubt comes to us. So that is Pradignyada from what is stated at Sandushagam Vakyam. We will be having doubts. That is actually, but when we understand the context, it becomes clear. That is when the first statement, Malsyan Paisa Saha Abhyavaharet, then Bhadragapya says, no, it's not like that. All the Malsya, all the fish except Chilijima can be taken. So to clear that, the Acharya Atraya says that no, it is not like that. No fish should be taken with payasa, especially Chilijima. So it is not like all can be taken. Especially you have to take care of Chilijima. That is Purobaksha. But in this context, Susrutacharya has a different opinion. That is, he says, Aksheba Purvakaha Prashnaha Purobakshaha. That is, when we have stated a statement and asking doubts on that statement, Aksheba Purvakaha Prashna. That is Purobaksha. One statement is delivered, and when you ask doubt or when you ask a question on that, it becomes Purobaksha. The example given by Delhanacharya is, it is said that Vadika Pramehas are Asadhya. Then how the Vadika Pramehas become Asadhya is the question on that. So for the substantiation is given by Acharya that because it affects Gambhira Dhadus like Vasamaja, etc. That is why the Vadika Prameha becomes Asadhya. So here also difference of opinion between Susruta and Ashtanghrida and Charaka. Ashtanghrida and Charaka mentions almost the same thing, and Susruta has a difference of opinion. This is like in Vadamarga, like in Mimamsa, this is a similar explanation like Susruta has mentioned. Maybe due to the influence of this, there the definition comes like that. And the next Tantrayukti is Vidhana. Vidhanam nama sutrakarascha vidhaya varnayati. Vidhanam is sutrakarascha vidhaya varnayati. The sutrakara, the author of the text, explains it in a particular order. Description in a order, in a sequential order. Examples are sequential description of characteristics of Mahabhutas, one after the other, as per the author. Adi Tridosha Gunas, first Vada, then Pitta, then Kapha. The Gunas are mentioned in its order. It is also mentioned by Charaka that KG2, some says Pragarana Anupurvya Abhidhanam Vidhanam. That is, as per the Anupurvya, what is stated before, you should be following that same order. It is called as Vidhana. So anyway, description in a proper order is called the Vidhana. Either it be as per the previously stated, like in the first chapter, Dhadus are mentioned in the order Resarekta, Mamsa, Medo, Asti, Majja, Shukra. And when the Kshayavidya, etc. are mentioned, the same order is followed. That is also Vidhanam. So anyway, description in a sequential order is called as Vidhana. Like in Ashtahara Vidhi Visheshas, it is explained as per the order mentioned in the sloka that gives the Uddesha of it. So the Nirdesha comes in the same order. That is called as Vidhana. And the next Tantrayukti is Anumadam. As per the word implies, it is citing somebody else's opinion. That is Anumadam Nama Egiya Madasya Anivaranena Anumananam. That is admitting things by Egiya Madasya Anivaranam. Egiya Madasya Nivaranam. That is what to say? It removes an Egiya Mada. It does not say it is only like this, and some others say it like this, and it is left without opposing it. It is not said some others are saying this, that is not true, it cannot be admitted. Such a statement you cannot find, but it is said like some say it, that it is like this. So it means the author is accepting that also, and he does not refute this with the help of any reasons or something. So the examples are like stating different Viryavadas in Ashtanga. It is said that Viryam Punaha Vadandi Ege. Some says it is Viryam Punaha Vadandi Ege. That word implies that it is an Anumada Tantrayukti. Guru Snigdahi Mamradu Lekharukshoshna Dikshnam Cha Tadeva Madamashtada. So always there will be a word that insinuates that it is taken by from somebody else, or it is mentioned by someone else. That is quoted here. That is called as Anumada. Or in the next example, like Charagastu aha Viryam Tat Kriyade Yenaya Kriya. Charaga says. There also Anumada. Somebody else's opinion is quoted in Ashtanga from Charaga Samhita. Whatever this Kriya is called as Virya, like that. And also in the next example, Ushnam Shidam Dudheva Anye. Some says it is of two types, Ushna and Shida. So in Anumada Tantrayukti, it is easy to find out that there will be always a word that insinuates that it is somebody else's opinion. Vadandege, another Acharya, Charagastu aha, Eva Anye, like that. So Anumada is citing somebody else's opinion, and it will be left without opposing it. No opposing statement for this can be found in the Tantra. And the next Tantrayukti is Vyakhyana. Vyakyanam nama ed sarva buddhya vishayam vyagriyade. That is, it is vyagriyade. The author explains something. That is sarva buddhya vishaya. That which everybody cannot understand is explained for the awareness of the readers. That they become, they should know that. Like examples are Masanumansika Garbha Vriddhi Lakshanas. For the sake of understanding of the readers, it is mentioned there. Another example is like Vichitra Pratyarabdada. Which in Vichitra Pratyarabdada, why the drug does not act according to its rasa, etc. is mentioned. So why the action of drug is like this is mentioned, that which others cannot understand is explained. A similar example is the concept of ojas. To make it aware for the readers, it is explained. That is called as vyakhyana. And the next Tantrayukti is samshaya. Samshayam is defined as sa agamshutum Anishchita Vastu Vijnanam. According to Arunadatta, it is defined as Sagamshutam Anishchita Vastu Vijnanam. Some Anishchitatva is there, some uncertainty is there. That we cannot predict this like this. It is not confined only to this. Anything can be. There is some uncertainty or some doubt in that. That is called as Samshaya. Whereas Charaka says that Samshayo Nama Vishesha Agamsha Nirdharida Ubhaya Vishayajnanam. Is Vishesha Agamsha Nirdharida Ubhaya Vishayajnanam. There may be confusion or there may be doubt or uncertainty between two things. That is defined as Samshaya. Examples are like Samshaya Prapta Matrayo Jividam Tasya Manyade. I think in Swapna, if you see these things, it is said that Atraya says his life is uncertain, samshayam. He doesn't say he dies in 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, or 1 month, or 1 year, like in other slokas. But he says samshaya prapta. It is uncertain. We doesn't know he lives or not. When he means his death is certain, but it is uncertain that when he dies. Samshaya prapta matrayo jividam tasya manide. His life to continue is an uncertainty. That is mentioned as Samshaya Tantrayukti. Or in another example, like Ada Samshayaha Kintu Khalvasti Punarbhavo Navaidi, where so a doubt occurs that where there is Punarbhava or not, because there are many views like Madaram, Vidaram, Swabhavam, Edricha. So a doubt stating that where there is Punarbhava, rebirth or not. So there also a Samshaya Tantrayukti. Some uncertainty is mentioned there. It is not said that Punarbhava is there or Punarbhava is not there. So again, there is some doubtful or uncertainty comes. So these doubtful or uncertain statements are mentioned with the help of Samshaya Tantrayuktis. And the next Tantrayukti is Adidaveksha. Adidaveksha is also simple one. It's easy to understand. Adidavekshanam nama id adidam eva uchyade. That is, it refers to something that which is already said. Adidam eva uchyade. It is retrospective referencing. Example is, it is said in Jara zikSA that Sa Kudi Tacha Shainam Jaram Samshametyabi. The Kudi Shaina or Kudi Sweda causes Jara Shamana. But we know where the Kudi Sweda is mentioned. It is mentioned in the Sutrasthana. Svedadhyaya. So from zikSA, you have to go for referencing to the Sutrasthana, which is already mentioned in the order of the text. So there, Adidaveksha becomes applicable. And another example is Pramehinam ya pidaga mayokta roga adhigare pridageva sapta. This Prameha pidaga mayokta roga adhigare. In the roga adhigara, I have already mentioned this in the Ki and the Shirasya Adhyaya. So after stating the Prameha Pidaga zikSA, he says it should be referred to Shalyavadvihi Bishop. And he says, but what are Prameha Pidagas are mentioned by me. So if you want to know that, you should go for retrospective referencing to Sutrasthana 17th chapter. That is another example for Adidaveksha. Or in Ashtanghride zikSA, in Jara Adhyaya, it is said, Tasya Niruhairva Hared Mala. In Jara zikSA, it is said in the context that his mala should be harana, should be eliminated by Niruha. So to understand this, we have to again go to the Sutrasthana, where Vasti is mentioned. What is the dose of Niruha Vasti? What is the pramana for the netra for Vasti used, like that. So when you have to understand something in its entirety, you should go for a reference that is already mentioned. That comes under Adidaveksha Tantrayukti. It is simply retrospective referencing. And Anagadaveksha is the next Tantrayukti. Anagadavekshanam nama yad anagadam vidim pramanikritya artha sadhanam. It is anagadam vidim pramanikritya artha sadhanam. We will be substantiating things with the help of anagadam vidhi, that is yet to describe, that is yet to come. Anagadam, it has not yet come, but we will be mentioning this. It is called as prospective referencing. Some examples are, it is said that Mutradeshu tu panecha pragbhaktam shasyade kridam. In the diseases due to the holding of urge of mutra, it is said that pragbhaktam Grida, it should be administered. Whereas this Pragbhaktam is mentioned among the Aushadha Sevana Kala only later in the Sutra 13th chapter. But this is mentioned in the 4th chapter of Sutrasthana itself. So that which is again to come, that which is yet to come, is already mentioned. So that is example of Anagadavekshana. Or in the first chapter it is mentioned Shodhanam Shamanam Chiri Samasad Aushadam Vida. The Aushadas of two types, Shodhana and Shamana. So to understand what is Shodhana and Shamana, you will have to go for an Anagadavekshana Tantrayukti, wherein the reference goes to the 14th chapter. There Shodhana and Shamana are described. That is yet another example. Or in Ashtangrita Chigilsa, Jwara Chigilsa, and it is mentioned that Tiktagam Vrishagridam Cha Paitige. In Paitiga Jwara, you can use Tiktaga Grida or Vrishagrida. But the reference for this are only coming in the Kushta Chigilsa, Nektapitta Chigilsa, etc. So when the Acharya uses something to express that which is yet to come, then it goes in prospective referencing or Anagadavekshana Tantrayukti. And the next Tantrayukti is Sasatnya. Sasatnya is Sasatnya Nama Ya Tandrakarir Vyavaharartham Satnya Kriyade. It is for the easiness of the Tandrakara. For his utility, he gives some special terms. Or we can say there are some technical terms related to certain science. It is Tandrakarir Vyavaharartham Satnya Kriyade. Some examples are, we know the term Shaka. Raktades Dadava and Twak. Raktadi is Shadadus and Twak is termed the Shaka. We may not see this in some other sciences. So it is an example of Sasatnya Tantrayukti or Jaindaga, Holaga, etc. The author gives these specific names that we cannot find in any other Tantrayukti in the case of Sweda. Or to speak in general, Dosha, Dhadu, etc. These may not be having these meanings that we use in Ayurveda in some other sciences. Or the term Panchakala, using the 5 drugs in Kolamatra. That is also specific to a Tantra. So Sasatnya is terms, technical terms pertaining to a particular science. For the easiness or understanding of that you need not repeat the same thing everywhere. For that, a term is mentioned. That is called as Sasatnya. And the next Tantrayukti is Uhyam. Uhyam nama ed anibatham grande pratnyaya tarkyatvena ubadishyade. Uhyam is ed anibatham grande, that is not seen in Grantha directly, but pratnyaya tarkyatvena. You should find out it with the help of prajna, your own intellect and logic, tarka. So it is usually defined as deducing something from what is already stated. Not you are taking things out of the air. From what is mentioned, you will be finding out what should be utilized. Some examples are, if some drugs in a formulation is not available, we should decide with the help of our prajna and tarka which drug should be used instead, which is having the similar gunas that which suits this condition. Or another example, like selection of apt drug for Shodhana. In almost all the diseases, Shodhana and Shamana, etc. is mentioned. And for Shodhana, which Shodhana we should use, or with the help of which drugs we should use Shodhana, etc. should be used as per our Yukti. That is called as Yuhya Tantrayukti. We will be deducing things with the help of the guidelines given in the Tantra. And another example is selection of suitable drug in a condition from a group of things. We know in Ayurveda, for a particular disease, many formulations are mentioned, and with the help of our Yukti, we will be finding out what suits this condition based on the condition presented by the patient. So we will be deducing things with the help of the guidelines given. Is called as Uhya Tantrayukti. There Uhya Tantrayukti suits. And another example is, another Tantrayukti is Samuchaya. It is again very simple Tantrayukti. Samuchayam nama ed idam cha idi kritva vidhyade. It is explanation by grouping something, segregation of something. Cha is mentioned. It is very easy to understand also. It is in some examples. Peyam iledi magradam cha, yusham rasam, etc. Or vayu pittam kabaschedi, where there are also the cha, grouping of these three mentioned. Or shodhanam shamanam chaidi, samasad aushadam dida. So it's very easy to find out. We are grouping the things with the help of cha. Then the next Tantrayukti is Nidarshana. Nidarshanam is simply stating some examples, analogies. That is Murkha Vidusham Buddhisamya Vishayo Drishtanda. It is giving a Drishtanda that which for the purpose of making it understood by both Murkha as well as Vidusha. For those having some less intellect as well as Vidusha, a Pandita. So that these are very simple examples that everybody can understand. Buddhi Samya Vishaya Murkha as well as Vidusha understands this alike with the help of this example with Drishtanta. This is called as Nidarshana Tantrayukti. Some examples are Shukrarthavastar Janmado Vishayana Vishakrame. As in the case of a poisonous organism, it is born with it, but it is poison, not poisonous to itself, like as the Shukrarthavastar Janmado, the Prakriti to the organism is like that. Or Vijnadam Amritam Yada. If you know the science, it is like that Vijnana is like Amrit. That is, everybody can understand that it is very useful thing. Or in the example, next is Kridam Mriddanda Chakresha Kumbhagara Drude Khadam. Kridam Mritrana Kastrecha Grihakara Vina Griha. It is cited as example for causality of Purusha. So very common example is used for this. That is, without the help of Mrit, Danda, Chakra and Kumbhagara, no Khada can be made. Similarly, is the causality of Purusha. Or in the making of a griha, without mrita, trina, kashta, even if mrita, trina and kashta is there, without grihakara, you cannot make a griha. So, examples, very simple examples that can be understood by everyone. That is termed as nidarshana. And the next tantrayukti is nirvajana. Nirvajanam is defined as nirnayartham vajanam niruktam. That is some defining statements. Nirnayartham vajanam niruktam. It is given by Arunadata, and whereas Chakrabani says Nirvajanam Nama Pandita Buddhigamyo Drishtanda. Only Panditas can understand this. Only those with high intellect will be able to understand this Drishtanda, this example. Or Kimva Nirvajanam Nirukti. He also says, or Nirvajana can be Nirukti also. So it is usually said that Chakrapani accepts only Pandita Buddhigamyam. No, it's not like that. It is also said that or Nirvajanam can be Nirukti also. But he says some difference of opinion that it is Pandita Buddhigamya Drishtanda only. These are examples that can be understood by the persons having high intellect. So Nirvajanam can be either definitions or scientific illustrations that only those people having high intellect can understand. Some examples are Jagat Vishanam Tam Drishtva Tenaso Vishasapyadaha. That which caused Vishanna to the Jagat is called as Visha. It is a statement that is can be included as definition. Example for definition. Nirnayartham Vajana or Nirvajanam Nirukti. Whereas in the next example, Nyayade Nityagaseva Kalasya Atyagaranam. There, to substantiate Swabhavoparamavada, the Acharya says it should be understood like Kala, that it does not have any other cause for its destruction. So everybody may not be able to understand this. Only those can correlate this with the help of their intellect can understand this. That is an example for scientific illustration. So this is the difference between definition of Nirvajanas. Again, Chakrapani says, if these both are drishtandas, then what is the difference between this? There he clarifies it as that Nidarshanam Murkha Vidusham Buddhi Samya Samanya Vishayam. Nidarshana makes it clear to both Murkha as well as Vidusha, whereas Nirvajanam to Pandita Buddhi Vedyameva. Only Panditas can understand Nirvajanam. Or he also states it can be Nirukti also. So that is the difference between Nirvajanam. This is usually confusing. And the next tantrayukti is Niyoga or Sanniyoga. Both are same. Niyogo Nama Avashya Anishtayadaya Vidhanam. Something is stated that it is Avashya Anishtayadaya. You should follow this. There is no option that you can or not follow this. You should follow. These are mandatory guidelines. Some examples are Matrashi Sarvakalam Syat. Sarvakalam, every time, whenever you take food, it should be according to proper matra. No exception for that rule is stated. So it is an example for Niyoga Tantrayukti. It is not like Upadesham. Upadesha is like Acharya says something that is good for you. You may or may not follow that. It is not strict guidelines. But when Niyoga is used, it means that you are bound to follow that. That is called as Niyoga Tantrayukti. Or in the next example, Ushnodaka Upachari Syat. Ushnodaka Upachara is to be followed by all those resorting to Panchakarma treatment. So this is again another example for Niyoga. Or Natvaya Sweta Murcha Paridani Pindigesha Vimoktavya. If you are affected even by Murcha also, you should not leave the Pindika. It is mentioned in Jendanga Svedam. The Acharya says, though you are, you will feel that you will faint, but you should not leave the room. That you may not be coming to the entrance, exit like that. So Niyoga are the strict guidelines that you should follow, and there is no option that you will follow it at some other time, or there is some exceptions to this in some conditions. It's not like that. So Niyogas are mandatory guidelines. And the next subject is Vikalpa. Vikalpaha Pakshika Abhidanam Ityadi. These are some optional statements. You will be given some options. You can follow this or this or this and that, like that. Examples are Purvarupa Darshane, Jwarado Vahidam, Lekhvachanam Avatarpanama. In Purvarupa or Jwarado. What is Hidam, Lekhvachanam or Avatarpanam? So Va indicates that this or option you will be having. You have some options and you can pick the right thing from that. Or like in Madhyam na peyam, peyam va swalpam subah variva. In Grishma Ridhucharya, either you should not drink Madhya if it is must that you can take it swalpa or with a lot of water. And the next example is Sarodagam Vada Kushodagam Va. In the Prameha Chikilsa Adhyaya, while discussing about Patya, the Acharya says you can either take Sarodaga, Khadira Sarodaga or Kushodaga. So this or this. The Acharya gives us options, you can follow this or that. That is called as Vikalpa Tantrayukti. And the next example, next Tantrayukti is Pratyutsara. Pratyutsaro Nama Ubapatya Paramada Nivaranam. Paramada Nivaranam. You will be contradicting the others' opinions. Paramada. With the help of Ubapati, with the help of some reasoning, you say that no, what you are said is not right. It is because of this. That is, we are refuting some others' statements. This is usually seen in discussions. That is, example is in this statement in Yajapurusha Adhyaya, a discussion goes on between from what factors the Purusha is originated and from what the disease originates, like that. There, the Varyovida says, Rasajanita Bhudani Vyadayascha Pradagvida. From Rasa, the the human being is derivative of Rasa, and from that Vyadis also originates. Whereas the Hiranyaksha Kushiga, he contradicts this by saying that Nahi Atma Rasajaha Smrida. We know the body is a conglomeration of Atma and the body. So the life is conglomeration. The Purusha is a conglomeration of Atma and body. So the Atma is not Rasaja. So you cannot say that Vyadis are derived from Rasa. That is a statement said by one Acharya, and the other refutes this with the help of some reason. That is called as Pratyutsara. These are usually exclusive to some conversations. And the next is Uddhara. Uddharam is Uddharo Nama Parapaksha Dushanam Krutva Swapaksha Uddharanam. Parapaksha Dushanam Krutva, we will be contradicting the others' views, and Swapaksha Uddharanam, we will be saying our own opinions. So others' opinion will be refuted, and we will be expressing our own opinions. That is called as Uddhara. So taking the continuation of example from the Pratyutsaram, there the Hiranyaksha said, no, Atma is not Rasaja. Then he have to substantiate his own view. He have to say then from what the Purusha and Vyadi originates. So he gives a statement that Shaddhadu Jastu Purusho, Roga Shaddhadu Jastada. From Shaddhadus, Purusha and Roga originates because Rashi Shaddhadu Jo Hiesha Sankhya Rati Pragitida. Sankhya says the Purusha is a Rashi of this Shaddhadus, is a conglomeration of Shaddhadus. So he says he refutes the opinion of others as well as he says his own opinion. Whereas in Pratyutsara, we are only refuting it with the help of reasons. We will not say our own opinion. When we say our opinion, it becomes Uddhara Tantrayukti. And the last Tantrayukti is Sambhava. Sambhava Nama Edyasmin Utpatyade Satasya Sambhava. Edyasmin Utpatyade. This thing can be seen here. That is the possibility of something to be somewhere is called as Sambhava Tantrayukti. Example is Mukhe, Piplu Vyanga Niliga Deha. In Piplu Vyanga Niliga, etc. can be seen in Mukha. Or in case of Sitma, Prayena Cha Urdhva Kayesya. By explaining Sitmam, Ruksham, Bahi, etc., the Acharya says, usually it is seen in Urdhva Kaya. Or in the next example, Panipada Daryo Vibadiga. Vibadiga is seen in Panipada. It causes cracks in Panipada. So when we hear the disease Vibadiga, we know, okay, it affects the foot, Pani and Pada, the salts. So that is called as Sambhava. Something can be seen in these areas. That is the utility of Sambhava Tantrayukti. So here ends the explanation of all the 36 Tantrayuktis mentioned by Charaka and Ashtanga Acharya. And we have already mentioned the four Tantrayuktis which the Susrutacharya does not accept. And Bhattacharya Harichandra's four Tantrayuktis can be included under this. So there is no use for explaining that. So all that I have to say is the knowledge of Tantrayuktis helps in understanding the Samhitas in a much better way. You can go for referencing, you can find what is said there, or with the help of Adisha Tantrayukti, you can find what becomes useful there, from where it is taken, etc. So if you understand Tantrayuktis, it will help us in understanding Samhitas in a better way so that you can apply it and you can make your treatment a success. That's the use of our Prayojana of our Shastra. So till this, I'm concluding this session by saying thanks to the organizers for giving me a chance to present this topic here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The session was really interesting, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Audience can post your doubts in chat box. Now, let's have a short recap about the session. Ma'am has explained about the remaining concepts of Tantrayukti, Apadesha, given reason for already given statements, Adidesha, extended application, Arthapatti, implied meaning, Nirnaya, conclusion, Sanka, restatement, Vidhana, order, Anumata, accepting first view, Vyakyana, explanation, Shishya, doubtful statement, Atidesha, retrospective reference, Adisha, prospective reference, Prasamya, technical terms, Yukti, deduction, Samudraya, for grouping things, Nirdarshana, an example, definition, Niryoga, mandatory guidelines, Vikalpa, optional, Pratyuttara, rejection of opinion of others in scientific discussion, Udara, citation, Sambhava, possibility. Audience who had missed last session can see the session which is telecasted in YouTube. Other doubts, ma'am? Shall we move to the conclusion? Shall we move to the conclusion, ma'am?
Sure.
Key to learn is understanding things. To understand and learn deeply Ayurveda, the concept of Ayurveda, Tantrayukti plays an important role. On the behalf of Team I at Ayush, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. Lini Grispin, for explaining the concept of Tantrayukti with simple explanation. Hope we will see you once again in this platform with other topics, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.